If you've spent years or even decades trying to fix yourself or digging for deeper wounds or chasing some final breakthrough, you are not alone. It's easy to believe that all the confusion and pain inside you means something is wrong with you. But what if the fog that keeps you doubting yourself was never truly yours to begin with? Today, I want to break open this question. How much of your suffering is inherited, absorbed, or projected onto you, rather than something broken within you? And how would it change your healing path to start there? If you'd like a place to anchor this, just comment below, give me the guide, and I'll share my top 7 energetic boundaries that every awakening empath needs to reclaim their energy. Empathic and spiritually sensitive people often develop an identity around fixing themselves. Because the patterns are so tangled and the confusion is so persistent, it's natural to assume you must be fundamentally flawed. But confusion is not the same as brokenness. Most of the fog you experience comes from outside, from family conditioning, from culture, from covert relational control, and from spiritual communities that project their own fears onto you. Over time, absorbing these projections shapes a sense of self that feels chaotic, guilty, or fragmented. But if the environment is dysfunctional, your confusion is a sane response to an insane system, not the evidence that you are failing. In the sovereignty sequence, we call this the difference between inherited fog and organic clarity. If you were taught to override your signals, if you were rewarded for silencing your voice, then what looks like a flaw is often a learned survival response. There was a period in my own path where I was convinced I needed to keep purifying, keep healing, forgiving, and releasing. It felt endless. Every time I found a new trauma, I assumed that that was the core. But I began to notice something. The more I tried to fix myself, the more I felt tangled. The more spiritual tools I stacked on top of my pain, the heavier the fog became. And it finally clicked that so much of what I was trying to fix was never mine. It was inherited from others, absorbed through relational systems, and amplified by spiritual bypassing. That realization freed me to stop endlessly diagnosing myself and instead build a practice of discernment, a practice of saying, this is mine and that is not. Let's get specific about how this fog forms. Empaths and awakening souls often serve as emotional translators within their families or communities. They pick up the unspoken tension, they regulate others, and they absorb blame. And over time, they become a container for pain that was never meant to be theirs. This absorption, left unchallenged, becomes a default identity. It feels familiar and even comforting to believe that working harder on yourself will bring peace, but in reality, you're just spinning in a fog that was built to keep you from noticing whose energy you're actually carrying. Every time you say, "What's wrong with me?" you reinforce the trance of self-blame. And that is exactly how covert systems, whether family, workplace, or spiritual circles, maintain control. So naming that pattern is the first step to breaking it. So what does breaking that pattern look like in practice? Well, first, get curious instead of critical. When self-doubt hits, pause and ask, whose story is this? Where did I learn it? Second, develop an inventory practice. Journal or speak aloud what beliefs feel true in your body and which feel imported. If a belief feels heavy, suffocating, or shame-based, it likely belongs to someone else. Third, give yourself permission to not fix it immediately. Empaths can fall into constant problem solving because stillness feels unsafe. Let things remain open-ended for a while without trying to resolve them on the spot. Fourth, strengthen boundaries before chasing deeper healing. When your energy field is porous, you cannot heal from a place of truth because the input is constantly contaminated. Stabilize your boundaries first, then go deeper and do the deeper healing from that solid ground. These simple, consistent steps are how I guide students in the sovereignty sequence to clear the energetic fog that they inherited and reclaim their voice, to stop feeling broken for simply being sensitive. It might feel radical, but what if healing is less about constant fixing and more about constant remembering? Remembering that you have a right to clarity. Remembering that confusion is a symptom of distortion, not an identity. Remembering that fog is often a social inheritance, not an individual defect. This perspective changes everything. It interrupts the endless loops of self-improvement that only reinforce the sense of failure. When you shift from what's wrong with me to what have I absorbed that isn't mine, the path of sovereignty opens. Healing becomes an act of reclamation rather than punishment. That is a powerful shift, and one I believe is non-negotiable for sensitive souls waking up in a world designed to keep them off balance. If this resonates, please know you're not alone. This fog is common for awakening empaths, but it does not have to define you. The sovereignty sequence is designed to help you walk out of it stage by stage with discernment and clarity. It's already helping others step out of inherited confusion and build a life rooted in truth. If you'd like a place to start, comment, give me the guide below, and I'll share my top 7 energetic boundaries for awakening empaths so you can protect your energy while you begin remembering who you are. You were never as broken as you feared. You were simply taught to see yourself through others' distortions. So clear the fog, reclaim your voice, and as always, may the shadow wane and the stardust remain.